If you're buying a new home, you might be wondering, what does my real estate closing attorney actually do for me? This is a really, really great question. And the reason it's a great question is because everything, or almost everything, your closing attorney is going to do for you is behind the scenes. So you may think we don't do a whole lot, but we're solving problems that you may not know exist in ways you don't really care about. You just want it solved. So I'm going to go through what our role is. So the first step, and the first thing the attorney is going to do is they're going to review your contract. And then followed up, we're going to make sure that we do the proper due diligence to make sure that the property you're buying doesn't have any issues. We're going to manage the whole closing process, making sure everybody's doing their jobs and everything moving along smoothly. And then we're going to handle the closing for you. This will be the first time you see us, really. So let's get started. Step one, contract review. So you sign a new contract, your real estate agent sends it to your selected attorney. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through and look at it with a fine tooth comb. We're going to make sure that there's no errors in there. We're going to make sure that the dates all make sense, right? A lot of times people put things on holidays, not thinking about them, because there's a lot of federal holidays that the federal wire room shut down. I mean, banks won't send money, and real estate agents don't look at those dates. They don't remember all those holidays. So occasionally we get a closing on a holiday. So we want to make sure that's not the case. We want to make sure that all the little details are aligned and that we have all the dates, the key dates in the contract registered in our software so that we can make sure they're tracked and that dates aren't missed. We're moving on to due diligence, right? This is the opportunity for us to look at the land records to ensure that there are no issues with the title to the house. We're also going to look at different different municipal departments to make sure there's no issues with the property from the town. So looking at the land records, which is where the title is held to the property or recorded, and looking at the title, we're making sure that every owner that owned the property transferred it to the new owner, right? So the seller transferred it to the buyer and transferred all their interest. That there are no liens on the property or debts that are going to come to the property that you may inherit if somebody didn't catch it. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the contractors have waived any interest to their bills or any debts that they're owed so that you're not inheriting that headache. And we do that. There's a paperwork that the attorneys handle on that. Now we're going to go through the different town departments, right? We're going to go through public works to see if you're on a private road or public road. You need to know that, right? Are you maintaining the road or somebody doing it for you? We're going to look at the building department to make sure that there are no open building permits. We're going to look at zoning, which will tell us about issues related to, are you in a flood zone? Are you on wetlands? Are there any violations in the town because somebody built something that they weren't supposed to? We'll look at the fire marshal. The fire marshal doesn't deal with fires. They're actually, well, they do, but for us, they're not. We're not looking at fires. If there's been a fire on the property, what we're looking at is if there was an underground oil tank, has it been properly removed with the fire marshal's oversight? And then finally, we'll look at the tax assessor. The tax assessor will tell us what the town is saying the property is like. Are there 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms? Right. It's outlining the actual physical blueprint of the property without actually getting a blueprint. The next thing your closing attorney is going to do is they're going to manage the transaction. What I mean by this is we're going to be in touch with your mortgage broker or lender. We're going to be in touch with the seller side. We're going to be in touch with your real estate agent. We're going to be coordinating the whole transaction to make sure everything goes smoothly and is moving along appropriately. The other thing we're going to do while managing the transaction is make sure that there aren't important dates that we missed, right? The inspection date and the mortgage contingency date are hard dates. And if you don't know what either of those are, I'm going to have a video. Look at our playlist and you'll see a video talking about all the key terms. So the mortgage contingency date and the inspection date are hard dates, which means if we miss them, we're out of luck. The closing date is a floating date, so if it gets delayed, we are allowed to delay it for a reasonable time. Unfortunately, there's no definition of what a reasonable time is. So we're going to manage the transaction, make sure everything runs smoothly. Finally, you meet us, and we'll sit down 45 minutes to an hour, explain the documents you're going to be signing in order to close on the house. This is the first time you get to interact with us in person. We'll take the time to explain the documents to you in plain English. They're typically between 100 and 150 pages. I don't know about you, but that would take me hours to read. It did take me hours to read. But luckily, I've read over them before so that I can explain them to you in plain English. And if you have questions, we're happy to answer them. So that's the role of your closing attorney. It's a pretty straightforward, but like I said, a lot of what the closing attorney is going to be doing is behind the scenes. So if you're looking to buy a new home or you're already under contract and you need an attorney to represent you, please be sure to give my firm a call so we can help make sure that you accomplish your American dream of home ownership. If you found this information helpful and want to learn more, be sure to look out for some more of our videos where we talk about the entire closing process. And congratulations on your new journey to homeownership.